Welcome back to the Explanation Pro. Today I'll recap a war drama film about a remarkable woman who won't let war keep her from protecting what she believes in, called Erna at War. Spoilers incoming. World War I has been going on for almost 4 years, and the German forces have been exhausting all their manpower, even going so far as recruiting Danish minorities from southern Jutland. Sometime in April 1918, a sausage maker named Erna Jensen talks to her son, Cal, in bed while contemplating whether being a soldier will fit him. She knows that as a mentally challenged individual, he can only do menial tasks at home and would have great difficulty taking orders from other people. By morning, a troop from Bramstrup arrives at their home and intends to recruit the young man. As she instructs him to hide in the bedroom, she confronts Feldwebel Meyer and shows him a letter stating the boy is unfit to serve. The official ignores this and insists on leaving with Cal anyway, or he will be charged with desertion. She convinces him with a pack of sausages to let her come along in hopes that she will persuade the commander in charge of the garrison at Flensborg. On the train, Meyer explains his sudden involvement in the war to honor his late German wife, who had strong political views. He also shows subtle interest in marrying Erna to help her start a new family while Cal is away. His gesture irks her, and she blasts him for forcing her son to be in the war instead of giving him a pass. Later at the garrison, she is given 5 minutes to make her case in front of the German colonel while offering her homemade sausages. Despite her efforts, her son is denied any reprieve and must submit to training like all Danish recruits. As an alternative plan, she hides in the barn to wait for her son but sees a young officer climb down from the window. She helps him as the boy breaks his leg from the fall and limps. Some soldiers are alerted of the escape but shoot another young man fleeing from the garrison. While they continue to hide out, Erna suggests that she swap clothes with him and take his place to stay there to protect Cal while designated in the reserve infantry of the 86th Regiment of the 8th Company. She adopts his whole identity as Julius Rasmussen and marches along with a group of soldiers to the barracks in disguise. Along the dormitory hallways, she finds room 184 to talk to Julius' uncle, Anton Sayerson. He is also Danish and asks him for help breaking his son out of the barracks. He warns her that there is a considerable risk of him getting killed as they shoot down deserters and punish conspirators, making only Julius the lucky escapee so far. Still, he agrees to play along with her ruse, despite his roommate's concerns about getting caught. At a roll call, Erna adapts to her new identity without rousing suspicion from the commanding officer. The next day, she decides to come clean to Meyer and make a deal with him to be his wife in exchange for keeping her secret and finding Cal a way out. The Feldwebel then calls for her roommates, including Julius' uncle, and threatens to punish them for illegally concealing a non-personnel in their room. To their surprise, however, he promises to cover for their mistakes and takes over their squad while letting Cal join them. So for the next few weeks, Erna and her son undergo rigorous training exercises, including rifle training and gas attack simulations. While this continues, she slowly makes herself look more masculine by shaving her legs and wrapping her breasts with bandages. The 86th Regiment is drafted to the battlefield's front lines a month later. As Erna walks towards the train, she sees most men saying goodbye to their families, including Anton, whose daughter gives a miniature Danish as a keepsake. On board the train, Meyer instructs him to keep the flag hidden as they represent Germany, not Denmark. He refutes this by saying they are neither, but just cattle herded to their deaths, while the men concur by making cow noises. Later, Erna overhears the men talking about signaling each other to get shot just in case they get compromised during battle. The train stops for 15 minutes, so everyone gets off to stretch their legs. In a nearby pond area, Erna is suddenly grabbed by Max Peterson, who is attempting to rape her. She finds a rock and hits his head hard, killing him. Later, as the squad retreats to an abandoned home, Meyer sees her bloody hands and presses her about the missing soldier's whereabouts. She tells him the truth while expressing her disgust over being seen as some object of desire. Upon hearing this, he decides to write off Peterson as a deserter. After cleaning up, she looks for Cal in a bathtub holding his breath underwater, attempting a world record. She immediately pulls him out while scolding the fellow soldier for allowing him to do something foolish. She has had enough and plans to split from the group to escape with her son by taking the train back. As she dresses back into women's clothing, Anton warns her that they will get caught and killed before reaching Cologne station. She immediately confesses to murdering Max Peterson in self-defense. He seems enthused by her and enamored by her new look as he mentions that Meyer considers her to be the guardian angel of their squad. He then dances with her, and they fool around until the Feldwebel walks in, outraged at what they are doing, and orders them both to come downstairs for a briefing. As they meet in the kitchen, Meyer informs the group that the regiment has suspicions about a woman disguising herself as a soldier, based on the intel of Hauptmann Schultz. Erna is unnerved as he warns that there will be a trouser inspection and that anyone unable to prove their manhood will be incarcerated at the Imperial prison camp, including those who abetted the suspected traitor. To avoid this, he registers the squad as volunteers for the K1 front line but assures them that they can leave after 10 days of service, provided that they stay alive. Though a counterintuitive plan, this will be the safest way for them to keep Erna's secret. The squad leaves the village promptly at dusk and marches to their new designated location. Unbeknownst to everyone, however, Erna conceals 2 eggs in flour and wraps them in a towel to become their emergency rations for her and her son. Later, they settle at base camp and eat their fill of hot soup and fresh bread. Just then, flares shoot up over no man's land, with Meyer explaining that each side must signal the other to keep their distance. Just then, Matthias complains about Cal's eating habits and insults him, only to be thrown soup by the offended young recruit. As the night grows even darker, the squad makes it to the underground network of trenches while hearing the men they pass by sing a tune. Meyer reports his reserved infantry for duty in front of the officer in charge, who informs them that they must take 2-hour shifts from midnight to dawn protecting the area, with one man taking watch over no man's land even if the French army has capitulated. The squad later bunkers down far beneath the trench and makes the best of a compact space, safe from potential enemy fire. In the morning, while taking her shift, a fellow soldier addresses her as Mom and confesses he is only 15 years old but volunteers to take part in the draft to avenge the men who killed his family. He sees her like a mother, so she confides that her son has never met his father. Later, she and Cal do menial chores while the men tease them about always being together. He feels annoyed by this and shouts back at his mom after they finish cleaning up. Just then, Anton comes and hangs the handmade Danish flag to celebrate a job well done, which delights everyone, including Cal. Later at lunch, Erna is offered by Anton to drink a bottle of schnapps before heading back to the trench for their daily shift. Feelings start to grow between the pair as they gaze upon each other closely, much to the dismay of Feldwebel Meyer. He orders Anton, as well as a willing Cal, to take barbed wire duty at night, to spite Erna. While fixing the barriers, the enemies open fire, leaving Cal exposed as he refuses to leave without finishing his work. Thankfully, Anton risks his own life to swoop in and save the young boy. After watching her son almost get killed, she angrily yells at Meyer and breaks off their agreement. With only 3 more days left on the front lines, the squad is anxious to finish their duties. The Feldwebel is in deep contemplation, so he decides to talk to Erna in private and reveals that he is, in fact, Danish like her. If she agrees to be with him, he will buy a charcuterie for her to start a business selling sausages and sandwiches. When she refuses, he kisses her and tries to hold her, but she fights back and tells him to treat her like a soldier at war. Just then, a bombing raid happens, so she puts on a gas mask but gets caught up in a massive explosion, forcing everyone to stay underground. After seeing her son safe, she checks in with Meyer, who is in a state of shock and unable to speak. Later, the command is passed on to Anton, who becomes Feldwebel and instructs them to hold out until the bombing stops. Days pass, and everyone starts to grow weary from waiting underground. Erna tells Matthias that Cal will be celebrating his birthday 3 days later. She later prepares some pancakes for the squad with the 2 eggs and flour she brought while consuming a bit of their rationed water supply. As they eat, Anton begins to sing for Cal in honor of his birthday. Erna is also encouraged to sing, but as she does, a disillusioned Meyer holds everyone at gunpoint. She blocks him as he tries to point the pistol at her son. Feeling at a loss, he climbs out of the hideout. Sometime after he leaves, Anton and Erna discuss his agreement with him about Cal while having a drink. She reveals that the boy is adopted, having been left at her doorstep one day by an unknown woman she suspected had undergone an unwanted pregnancy. She confesses about trying to drown him as a baby to end his suffering but decides to keep him, as she has never raised a child. She notes that his mental disorder may have stemmed from that moment, which she feels very guilty about until now. Anton finally understands the reason for being so protective. Still, he asks her if she has ever longed to be taken care of by someone else. The pair proceed to have sex right after their conversation. As another day passes, one of their wounded mates succumbs to his injuries and is close to death. Anton asks Matthias to kill him as an act of mercy, but he struggles, so Cal volunteers and shoots his head. More days go by, and rats have started to infiltrate their hideout. Erna decides to head out to find food and water on her own, even as Matthias prepares to risk his life and do it himself. Outside, she slowly crawls through the trench as the heavy fire continues in the middle of the rain. To her shock, she finds Meyer's dead body hanging off the barricade, so she breaks him free, only to get pinned down and faint due to exhaustion. Cal appears to save her and carries Meyer back to their hideout. By morning, she awakens, bruised, lying in the mud in the middle of a ceasefire. She brings out the Danish flag from her pocket as French soldiers surround her before passing out again. 6 months later, in November 1918, Erna is working in a delicatessen, with her famous sausages now being served to the troops, one of whom was revealed to be Max Peterson. She is also pregnant due to her one-night stand with Anton months ago. One morning, as she gives food to the soldiers, an official arrives and declares that the war is over. She is summoned in front of the French commander, ensuring her a safe passage back to Denmark on a train, as there are no regulations for transporting female French prisoners of war. As she gets off the train, she notices that one of the sleeping passengers looks much like Anton. Before departing from the train station, she asks the conductor to wake him up near the Vosgens stop and give him back the handmade Danish flag. When asked for a name, she tells him, Julius. Back in her village, she finds out from a neighbor that Cal has come home, so she rushes to embrace him while telling him that she is with a child. He asks if the baby will be mentally challenged as well, to which she responds that there is no one as unique as him. As he returns to continue his handiwork, Erna smiles, knowing her family is safe and will continue to live and grow in peace. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and also subscribe my channel for more videos like this. See you in the next video.